Greetings. For your entertainment, we present you recordings of our weekly game sessions. You join us now in the midst of our latest campaign, a story set in White Wolf's Chronicles of Darkness. Please allow me to fill you in on what you've missed. Join us now as we enter the Chronicles of Darkness. Welcome to St. Crowley, home of the Undercouncil. St. Crowley, USA, a city situated somewhere along forgotten highways at a maze-like crossing of roads. Founded over 200 years ago on the site of even more antiquated native ruins and stranger detritus, the quirky city with its Gothic architecture and old-world charm has ever been a magnet for the strange and shadowed creatures which have walked alongside mankind since the beginning. Some unknowable confluence of circumstance seems to draw the occult and bizarre to this city in the heart of nowhere. A city, just as any other on the surface. With the slightest scratch, the layers peel away and reveal a teeming nest of the supernatural. Ever on the brink of chaos, St. Crowley is a powder keg of supernatural factions. The vampires, mages, and werewolves are the largest factions active in the area, with the city carved into districts, each under control by the different groups. All the while, a local group of hunters known as the Arbiters work to keep a tentative peace. Recently, however, the Arbiters were struck by some catastrophe that left the organization with only 3 remaining members. At the same time, the vampires, led by the Prince Rommel, gained some form of leverage over the mages of St. Crowley and have the most powerful families in the city under their undead thumbs. Meanwhile, the wolves, located on the rural outskirts of the city, keep their distance from the ongoing power struggle that's grasped the city as they continue their duty of policing the spirit realm. Relations between the wolves and mages have been strained, to say the least, due to a tragic incident involving an orphan werewolf and the current head of the Delacroix family's brother. It is here where our adventure begins, on a day much like any other. The man known as the Director, the mysterious leader of the Arbiters, reaches out in secret to the mages, vampires, and wolves with a proposition. They are each to send a representative to a clandestine meeting, unknown to the other parties involved. He also reaches out to a newcomer to St. Crowley, a wandering ghost wolf, searching for an enigmatic and dangerous spirit. The invitation is met with skepticism, mistrust, and insincerity. Both the wolves and vampires send a representative merely as a formality. Rommel sends the vampire Casimir, a relatively inexperienced and new-blooded vampire, as a patsy in an attempt to gain information and manipulate the situation. Casimir, during circumstances he is unable to recall, was embraced by a vampire some uncertain number of years ago. For the past 200 years he's laid dormant in torpor, the reason for which has been lost along with many of his memories during his death-like slumber. He has only recently reawakened in the modern world and is grappling with the new world that he's been thrust into. Hoping to uncover answers to what's going on in St. Crowley and recover some of his lost memories, he's forced to work with Rommel for the time being. The alpha wolf, Walt, needing to show face at the meeting but seeing the whole affair as a waste, sends the diminutive runt of the tribe to represent the wolves of St. Crowley. If this was meant as an insult to those who called the meeting or a chance for the runt to prove his stuff, this is yet to be seen. Hammond Reardon, born with achondroplasia, has been literally looked down upon for most of his entire life. He is taking this assignment, whether it's a serious gesture or a joke, as his one chance to prove that he's more than enough wolf for the tribe. The meeting was had. In attendance were the representatives of the vampires and wolves. Joining them was the newcomer and wildcard Neil. Representing the Arbiters was the newest member of the recently decimated organization, Hector, a secretive and straight-laced young hunter. It was revealed that they were all summoned to this meeting by Hector's boss, the Director. He wished to reinstate the Undercouncil, a group that once operated some 50 years ago, made up of representatives from the wolves, vampires, hunters, mortals, and other things. With the reinstatement of the Undercouncil, the Director hopes to get to the bottom of the mysteries plaguing St. Crowley of late, as well as forcing the factions to work together and keep the fragile peace going as long as he can. It is during this meeting that the new Undercouncil learns that there was to be one last representative, a mage by the name of Delilah, who Neil happened to meet and barely avoid hostilities with when he accidentally happened into mage territory upon first arriving in town. When they sought Delilah out at her home, they discovered that she had been murdered. Forced to flee by the approaching police sirens, They were disturbed to find out that by the time they departed and the police arrived, her body, the blood, and all the damage to her apartment had vanished. She was listed as a missing person. Now, with rising tensions between the mages and vampires over the disappearance of Delilah, the new Undercouncil seek out the truth behind the murder of their intended compatriot to stop a war from breaking out. Through their investigations, they faced clockwork monstrosities in the shape of men, experienced tragedy when an innocent was killed by an injured and blood-starved Casimir, faced down a terrible rat spirit, and stumbled upon a conspiracy involving 3 siblings from St. Crowley's past who created something that inspired Mary Shelley to write Frankenstein. They've also been joined by Victor, a strange being who claims to be the spirit of a kraken in the body of a man, and a friend of Delilah, who is performing his own investigation into the disappearance of the young mage. All the while, they are no closer to uncovering the secrets that plague the streets of St. Crowley. Now, after acquiring a special gauntlet that allows Casimir to operate during the day at the cost of his powers, the Undercouncil continues their search. We join them now as they prepare to... Alright guys, so let's go ahead and do the recap for last session to lead us into what we're currently doing.
I'm trying to remember what did we start off with last time?
Didn't we start with going back down to the we went through the metro and we went down to the Undercity?
Yes, we went down to the Fallen District to follow back up on the spirit that we had found there. The Bishaloo, the rat spirit.
That's right. We had Neil had set up a sacred hunt ritual in order to really make it official.
So yeah, let's start there with the recap then. What did you guys do?
We went and hunted the Bishaloo, right? Or did we get prepared first?
That's implied.
We went and hunted the Bishaloo. I, Victor Bourdain, almost died again.
Yeah, how'd you almost die?
It jumped and bit me and ripped out my throat.
Yeah, we were ambushed after it appeared to us from behind.
Because all of us, except for our faithful Hector, failed our stealth rolls.
Hector, the mortal NPC.
He's a trained hunter. He can take care of himself. I'm pretty sure he can beat any of us in a straight-up brawl.
Look, I'm just saying, he's a completely normal man, and you're monsters, so...
Hey, man, he succeeded against that devious chain-link fence.
He is the one that finally killed it. Actually, he killed the Bishaloo, too, if I remember.
Yes, actually, when we confronted the Bishaloo, it managed to disable Victor. However, we were able to kill it, but it dispersed into many smaller rats, and as long as one of them managed to escape, it could reappear and reform itself.
We managed to kill all but 2 of them, right?
Yes. And then we used our totem spirit, Avenger, the cat.
The orange tabby cat.
Who had he can track things and know where they went. So he helped identify the exact location the last 2 rats escaped to. And then Hammond took over.
Well, yeah, that's because Hammond discovered the remains of, or the clothing remains at least, of a infant, and used his new ability that he discovered to view the memories that surrounded those clothings, and saw that this creature had recently stolen a child within the past 24 hours from the maternity ward of a local hospital. And
St. Crowley General.
Yeah, St. Crowley General, and ate the infant. So he asked Avenger to, yes, it was alive, as Lane points out. He asked Avenger to use his abilities to locate the Bishaloo, or the remaining rats, so that they could put an end to it.
Because Avenger is a spirit of justice, and having a baby murdered is not justice.
Justice will be served.
But while Hammond was finding the baby clothes, Neil and the other werewolf, as well as Cassius, the vampire, they found that there
Casimir.
was... Casimir. What did I say, Cassius?
Cassius.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, I guess I just have boxing on the mind. Fisticuffs. But anyway, those two discovered that there was an exit from the Bishaloo's lair underneath the surface of the city to actually the sewer. So they found that out. They found out where it went to, and after defeating the Bishaloo and reporting back to the director, they notified him, and he had some people sent out to go ahead and fill in that hole so it doesn't happen again.
And then the hunt was on. With Avengers' help, we tracked the creature back to the city, or we tracked the remaining rats back through the city up on top of a 8-story apartment building to a boarded up or just an old shed on top of the building. And Hammond wasn't having any of it. Immediately shifted into war form because of his condition that the vision left on him, and completely jumped through the shed, toppling it and devouring the rats.
Rat burgers.
And then jumped off the roof, if I remember right.
Yes, because him turning into war form and destroying this shed got all the tenants in surrounding buildings looking out the windows, going mad from seeing a werewolf, and everyone had to flee. And he dove right off the building.
And Hector decided to be the amazing Spider-Man and just kind of, jump, slid, grab grates, while jumped and shit his way down to the ground from, what was it, an 8-story tall house?
Yeah. See, his was
8-story
hunter
tall
parkour.
building.
Mine was werewolf parkour.
Yeah, his was more entertaining.
In the intervening time, due to Victor's injuries, we had him transported to a hospital where he was being treated by a surgeon that was under the director's pay. This was his second visit to the hospital for grievous injury, and understandably, the surgeon was getting very curious.
The second visit
Same
in
doctor.
about 3 days.
Yes.
I thought this was the day after he got out.
I think it was, yeah.
Also, while Victor was in the hospital after getting major surgery, the director came in and healed him perfectly fine.
Was this a faulty memory while he was high on morphine? Or did this actually happen?
He's not high on morphine all the time.
Just most of the time.
Most of the time.
Well, I guess you'll have to try to find out, won't you?
Yes, after we recovered Victor from the hospital after he was healed, we had the director speak to the surgeon. Her name was Rachel Grayson.
Dr.
Rachel Grayson. And the director spoke to her about joining the Hunters and shedding light on some of the stranger events happening in the city.
Because she had been starting to see more of them more and more often.
And Hector thought that it might be a good idea to recruit more into their organization since they are severely understaffed right now.
Since it is him.
There's 2.5 men.
Yes. Him and the director are the only able-bodied men, and then there's a paraplegic or just a from the waist down paralyzed.
He's actually not paralyzed. He's an amputee, double amputee. Both of his legs are missing.
So
There
is
you
this
go.
Charlie Sheen, 2.5 Men, or Ashton Kutcher?
Probably Charlie Sheen, because one of them's dead. Or almost dead.
I'm pretty sure Charlie Sheen's the one that died.
He was.
And also, Hammond's not part of the group, so it can't be 2.5 men in that direction.
Oh.
Shots fired.
Oh.
Burn.
Scrappy's not helping you anymore.
Not like I asked for it. Except for your grandma, her cooking is pretty good.
No one ever asks for help from Scrappy.
Well, an arrangement was made with Rachel Grayson to meet at a local restaurant, Walkerelli's, a Chinese and Italian fusion restaurant.
Asian and Italian, not just Chinese.
Asian and Italian restaurant owned by a Tyler Zahn, who we were also scheduled to meet there as well. But we figured it was a fair meeting point to discuss some of the things that'd be going on and introduce Rachel to the happenings of St. Crowley.
Since we meet there for almost every single meeting.
Hey, it's right across the street from my little digs.
What can I say? It has a great family atmosphere.
Also delicious food.
Not the best apple pie, though.
What are you expecting? It's Asian Italian fusion. Apple pie is like really, really American.
For apple pie, we have the other place.
It's like Grandma, Mistress, Appy, I don't know, Smith, Granny Smith. Fuck it.
It was Madam Smith's.
Yeah, Madam, because she
Smith.
didn't like being called Granny.
There you go, Madam Smith's
Well,
diner.
anyway, go on with what happened during the meeting.
Well, much to Rachel's discomfort, she was given a vision by our totem spirit, Avenger, that showed her a recollection of all the events that the Undercouncil has gone through.
She witnessed all the experiences as if she was there helping us, and everything that was involving Delilah's murder and our investigation into it. So she saw all of the creatures we fought. She didn't witness the Bichelou, thankfully, but she saw the clockwork men and the horrible monster that took Delilah's body, I think.
Yes.
And she got all of that in pretty much a flash of a few seconds and was kind of left speechless, and nobody quite knew what had happened until she said, "What are you?"
During this introduction, Rachel agreed to join the Hunters to better help protect the people of St. Crowley from the supernatural threats they faced. During this, we were interrupted by Tyler Zahn, who appeared into our private room, who then, as part of our arrangement, took us to meet the ghost. Well, to possibly find the ghost of Delilah back at her apartment. The Undercouncil met up and went there as a group. From there, we found that Delilah left no ghost, and much of the crime scene had been taken down.
Most of her anchors had also been
Forcibly resolved.
Our only option now is to potentially go find a way to go to or communicate with her through the underworld.
Via Navernian Gate.
Also, at this time, we had Tyler, who is a sin eater, attempt to communicate with a soul that we had found that was trapped in an orb. So he summoned the spirit or ghost of that man that had been in there. He was able to tell us that he actually died 5 years ago by not the same ones, but similar creatures that had killed Delilah.
And is that where we left off?
Time we left off with Tyler absolving the ghost and putting it to rest. And we were going to accompany Tyler to an Avernian Gate to communicate with Delilah using Tyler's strange powers as a sin eater.
Yeah, because I have here a goal to find Delilah's ghost. So I assume our next step is actually to travel to wherever her ghost has disappeared to.
Correct.
Oh. And I almost forgot that before leaving the diner where we met Tyler Zahn, Hammond apparently has developed another ability where he has discovered some information that he has yet to reveal to the rest of the group involving our benefactor, the director.
All right, I think that about covers it for the major events of the last session.
All right, let's get started then, guys. All right, so you were still at Delilah's apartment discussing what your next course of action is going to be after having discovered that Delilah's ghost was no longer present in the apartment if it had ever been present. Tyler Zahn, as you previously mentioned, had revealed that it appeared that the fetters, which would have normally kept a ghost anchored to the material world, had been resolved forcibly somehow in Delilah's case. And I believe you were discussing a few different options, one of which was to seek out Delilah's family home and see if her ghost might have been attracted to such a place by any potential anchors hanging around there. So, what are you guys doing?
So are we waiting right now for Tyler to open up a gate, or are we going somewhere to do that first?
I thought we were going to try to go to Delilah's old childhood home.
That's right.
Yes, we're
That's
going
right.
to see if she left any possible anchors there that we might be able to communicate to her ghost with.
I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, that sounds great. Let's go. Let's do that.
So we all pile in Neil's van.
I like my van.
It's got a waterbed.
No, there's not enough room for that.
I wanted a waterbed.
So, it occurs to you that none of you actually know where Delilah lived as a child. You do know that she was a member of the Ashcroft family of mages, but...
Oh, yeah, I remember now. We were going to go speak to Old Herb, because he might know.
Were we?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, let's go to Herb.
Old Herb was actually pretty close with, well, sort of close with Delilah.
All right.
Didn't know that.
You guys head towards Old Herb's boarding house.
It's across the street.
Across the street from Walkerelli's, but you guys are at Delilah's apartment right now, which is not across the street.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So it's a short drive to...
So again, we all pile in Neil's van.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. It's a short drive to Old Herb's house. Traffic is pretty typical for this time of day. I believe it's the afternoon right now. It's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon because you guys met Tyler and Dr. Grayson that morning. It's been a few hours since then. So you eventually pile out of Neil's van out in front of Old Herb's boarding house.
I'll go ahead and and walk into the boarding house and look around the lobby for Herb.
Herb is, as usual, puttering around in one of the foyer areas. Appears that he's trying to dust some old keepsakes and memorabilia that are collecting a little bit of of dust.
Hey, old Herb. How's the painting going? Was it a nice little different thing for you to do?
Oh, Neil. I didn't hear you boys come in. Oh, you brought some friends.
Yeah. I think you've met all of them before, right? Yeah, we were actually we think we may have found a lead on Delilah, but it requires us to find some place where she had strong ties to. Our first guess, aside from her apartment, was maybe her childhood home. Do you happen to know where she grew up at?
Oh, Delilah was a member of the Ashcroft family. They're a well-to-do family in the area. They've got a big old house off of Pinehurst Street.
Pinehurst. Do you know where that is, Hammond or Hector?
Yes, I know where it is. Pretty sure that's in the mage territory.
Do you happen to know any landmarks? We know exactly which house is hers? Or would that be something that we need to go ask someone from the Ashcroft family?
I'm pretty sure you're not going to miss it. It's the only house in the neighborhood that has wings and 4 floors.
Oh, a big house.
This house flies?
Wings. No, not flying wings. The wing, like the west wing, the east wing, north wing, south wing.
I still have no idea what you're talking about.
Big house, mansions.
Considering mages, this is the first thought that came to my mind too, is a literal winged house.
Let's go. I'm ready to be in a mansion.
It might be a good idea if I sit those one out, guys, considering the relationship between mages and vampires right now. I don't know how they might react if they see me here.
Well, what about Neil and myself?
They do hate werewolves even more than they do hate vampires.
So I'm the only one who can go. Freely, basically.
We can all go, but it might be inhospitable.
We could attempt to contact them through Elsa and let them know we're coming. I mean, we're investigating the disappearance of their daughter or family member.
That's a possibility.
Me and Delilah were friends. I mean, I could go try to talk to them since I'm not, a vampire or a werewolf.
The implication as to why Delilah didn't stay with her family was because she wasn't on good terms with them for some reason. So depending on how you approach this, it could go any way.
Bad terms or not, they probably don't want anything to happen to her. Unless they're involved.
So how do you guys want to proceed with this?
They probably don't want to see my kind of junky old van pulling up into their yard, I imagine.
What if we borrow an SUV from the director?
I think Hector's car would fit us. Isn't that right, Hector?
Yeah, my car can seat like 6 people. If we crunch a bunch of people up in the back seat.
I'll hop into the trunk.
I hear it's not a very good ride back there.
I can fit anywhere.
All right, if you say so.
All right, so but I know they don't really want werewolves in their territory. Do we need to basically say this is official Undercouncil business? You think that would let us get through?
I actually think that speaking to Elsa might be a possibility, since I do need to notify her that I've delivered the message to her daughter Ava. From there, I can request that she give us an audience introduce us to the Ashcroft family and provide a good word for us, so that they aren't suspicious when we arrive.
Tyler Zahn speaks up. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good idea. I don't want to show up on a mage's doorstep unannounced. They're paranoid types.
Very paranoid.
We've gotten that impression. I will go on ahead and speak to Elsa. I will let you guys know once I receive word that she has notified the Ashcrofts we will be arriving.
No, we can't all go because, remember, she absolutely fucking hates werewolves.
I mean, she's already met us, though.
Elsa hasn't.
Yes, she has.
Elsa has met y'all before. Whenever you guys sought her financial backing for the auction.
Yeah, it was our first time using the social combat rules in this game.
And she
Hammond-
seemed to have a pretty decent reaction to all of you. So you can go either way. You can send Casimir on ahead, or you can all go.
Hammond, in fact, owes her a favor, given that he requested the assistance in the first place for the auction to get the gauntlet for Casimir.
All right, you can all accompany me then.
I still haven't met her. Victor says.
Well, I guess this would be a good opportunity for to introduce you to her.
Cool.
Sounds good, guys. So
So everyone's going to pile into Neil's van, and we're going to head on over there. Probably, if we have her phone number, call on ahead, even though she probably knows we're coming anyway, but whatever.
Mages, man.
Mages. It doesn't look like we'll need Hector's car in this case. It's hard to tell, but Hector has a slight sigh of relief.
well, if you guys are gonna go over to talk to Elsa Delacroix, I'm gonna hang out here at Walkerelli's. I got a few things I need to take care of, paperwork and that kind of thing. I got an organization to run, so you guys give me a call and I'll head to meet you over at the Ashcroft place if you make introductions and stuff.
We'll be in touch, Tyler.
Cool. All right, guys. Later.
All right, I guess we need to be heading out ourselves. It was nice seeing you again, old Herb. Hopefully, I'll be back pretty soon.
Oh, it's good seeing you boys again. I'm almost done with the painting that you asked me to do.
Awesome. I can't wait to see it.
I think it's coming out well.
I believe, well, what you said has been several decades since you've last painted, though, right?
It's like there was an eruption of creativity.
Oh, my. Well, that will certainly be a thing whenever we get back.
It's really nice to shake things up every now and then.
Parkinson's jokes. Keeping it classy.
You would think his weak telekinetic powers would help him level that shit out.
He just shakes everything with his telekinesis too.
Oh,
It's Teleca Parkinson's.
so whenever he throws a baseball, it's always a knuckleball then.
Obviously.
All right, then. So you guys pile into Neil's van again. Avenger is waiting moodily on the dashboard as per his usual MO, judging you with
Always
his
judging.
cat eyes.
I scratch him behind the ears. He likes that.
He judges Neil and
Casimir.
Casimir a little bit harsher than others.
Yes, you two still have not made amends for the horrific crimes that you have committed in the past.
No, we're working on it.
During the drive here, Hammond and Avenger were in the back discussing something, but with all the talking, commotion, and everything, I don't know if anyone else overheard them.
Well, let's find out. Everybody roll me perception rolls, which is, I will once again remind you, wits and composure.
Neil has 3 successes.
I have 3 successes as well.
I have 3 successes also.
We all heard you.
Dear God. Avenger and Hammond were locked in a kind of intense discussion, which you caught snippets of, related to the director and some kind of information that Hammond hinted at and kind of avoided really saying openly. But it sounds like a pretty serious discussion.
Neil, if I remember right, also noticed some weird look or reaction he had on his face, that Hammond had on his face as they were leaving Walkerelli's the first time after talking with Tyler Zahn. So he has that kind of in the back of his mind that Hammond seems to know something that is either scares him, disturbs him enough that he doesn't want to share with the rest of the group.
Yes, after leaving before leaving Walkerelli's, as the director went to make his departure, Hammond suddenly looked like he got very concerned or unnerved about something, but he hasn't really discussed it with anyone yet.
Casimir noticed this as well, but is very unsure of what to do with this seemingly sensitive information, and is potentially going to confront Hammond about what discoveries he may have made.
In fact, how long is the drive from Walkerelli's to
The Delacroix house?
Delacroix house, yes.
It's about 20 minutes with traffic. As you're already aware, St. Crowley is a city with about 600,000 residents, so traffic can get pretty intense some days. And it has, let's just say that its traffic grid more closely resembles a rat's nest than it does a grid.
Granted, also, given the recent developments with these abilities Hammond seems to be picking up, he's been pretty shaken for the past few days given the weird visions and memories that he's been seeing.
He should stop doing so many psychotropic substances.
It's fun, what can I say?
Neil picks a lull in the conversation during the drive back to the Delacroix house, and Hammond, has there something been bothering you more lately? Something more than usual? Because you seem to be you always seem to be looking worried or freaked out, and there doesn't seem to be anything going on at the time. What's up, man?
Hammond is definitely looks unsure of how to answer this question. He was probably just sitting in one of the back seats of the van, just very quiet during the trip. It's these things I've been able to see lately. I'm just very not sure what to make of the things I'm seeing half the time. Some of them are happening without me consciously trying to do it.
I think we've all been seeing strange things lately, and if you're seeing things that even we aren't seeing, I can understand why you might be a little bit shaken up.
I mean, is it really something worse than seeing a bunch of people killed through a cave-in?
I'm guessing that this questioning may have been coming from overhearing what I was talking about with Avenger earlier. When the director left, something whispered to me, almost like I was hearing it from the spirits themselves. I heard names and a very strong feeling, all coming from the director. He kind of looks at Avenger, kind of like a, what should I do here?
Avenger just stares back at you calmly.
Meow.
Meow.
You're saying there's something strange about the director? That he might have some kind of spirit tied to him?
I heard names. Dante White, Oliver Jackson, and while those are normal enough aliases there, or possibly real names, I heard Israfel.
Do I recognize any of these names? Out of character.
Anybody with dots in the occult skill can make me a roll. Intelligence plus occult. Nothing related to hunter's lore or anything like that applies. So
2 successes.
Does spirits apply?
no, not in this case.
3 successes.
Neil got 0 successes. Hector got 1.
Okay, everybody that got at least 1 success knows that names with the suffix el, l in them are typically associated with angel lore, as in the names of angels.
This is the same thing that Hammond was able to figure out previously. I also got a very...
It's Hebrew meaning of God.
I also got a very strange feeling about the director that whoever this is killed the director, but is the director. which I cannot figure out and makes no sense about.
Hector speaks up. What do you mean someone killed the director?
It feels like the person we know as the director killed him, but is him.
You're not making any kind of sense, even for a furry.
It sounds kind of like that situation with that Tyler Zahn character we met from Walkerelli's, but that can't be it, because Victor was able to see the strange spirit lingering over him. But Victor's not seen any such spirit over the director.
Actually, I have. Whenever he came into the room and healed me, and I saw a spirit of, or I saw the shadow of broken wings over the director.
Neil mutters, shadow of broken wings.
But you only saw it then.
Yeah, he put his hand on me and healed me completely. My throat was not ripped out.
Is that how you got out so fast?
Yes. That's how this all is not broken or ripped.
This is very disturbing.
I thought it was just a morphine dream.
I suspect that was no dream.
No. It wasn't.
I was discussing with Avenger how if he or Delilah may have known anything about angels or come across anything while she was researching the lore and history behind the gauntlet. But he says they didn't know anything other than what we already know from mythology. But I'm not sure what I should do with this information. But Avenger suggests that he's done nothing but help us, so that I should just ask him.
We might want to be careful with that. The director might be keeping these secrets for very good reasons. But he has been a major benefactor to us in all of our efforts. So I can only assume he must be doing it for the best of intentions.
And he was the one that summoned us all in the first place to put this together.
Perhaps that's how he knew us.
Neil starts thinking in the back of his mind, I wonder if maybe this is tied to him knowing about that, the Idigum. Because the director seems to know that there was an Idigum that even, traveled the city and where it's at, even though he appears to be holding back that information, but it's not something a normal hunter would be able to encounter and determine what it is.
Out of character, were we ever actually sure why the director contacted you in the first place? Because I know me and Casimir were summoned as representatives from our factions, but I kind of remember you just showed up and it was just you were just someone else that he had summoned or invited to the meeting.
I had Neil had tracked the Idigum to St. Crowley, and just during his general exploration of the city, he had actually originally encountered Delilah in a laundromat. And, a scene happened there. She threatened him, and he was like, okay, bitch, whatever. And they ended up agreeing to disagree and left.
Because he found his way into the mage district by mistake, didn't he?
Right. And when she realized that, she basically, let him off, but told him not to come out there ever again.
And out of character, I believe it was when you arrived at Old Herb's, he happened to have had some kind of message for you shortly after you arrived that had just recently came to him.
Exactly. And I had never met Old Herb before that moment in my life.
And you were a drifter. You were an out-of-towner, so there was no way anyone could have known you were coming there unless they knew your purpose.
Exactly.
Which raises a lot of questions about the director.